Hey, welcome back to Briefly Creative. I'm Brad, and today we're going to look at our wood shop. We have a really tight space in here. It's like a 10 by 20 space, but we've managed to cram a lot of stuff in here and have it work pretty well. So today we're going to look through some of the efficiencies and the organizational hacks to make this shop work and run and be efficient. Let's do it. Let's go for it. The only thing that I have on this bench as a permanent fixture, I guess there's two things. There's the lathe and the miter saw. The lathe I can push back towards the back if I need to, if I need space for the miter saw, if I'm cutting something long. I can also push it back if I need space for like a workbench area, just to, do whatever. There's also this little vise here that is actually interchangeable for other tools. I'll talk about how and why later and how that helps my efficiency in this shop. Underneath this bench, I have a shop vac and a air compressor, both of which are hooked up and ready to go in case I need to suck up any sawdust or blow any sawdust away. The air compressor really comes in handy when you're working with a lathe, just to blow off all the sawdust that you have on your piece so you can just keep on going and keep on lathing. There's also a welder underneath here, as well as some storage. I have this awesome little box here for wood scraps. So bear with me a minute. All my little wood scraps that I have from leftover projects are right in there. Moving up from there, on the pegboard, you can see it's pretty well jam-packed with stuff, but I think it's pretty well efficient and works pretty well for what I need. There's a lot of stuff on the bottom that I use a lot, like, your hammers, glue, tape measures, pencils, safety glasses, chisels, pliers, stuff like that. Towards the top of the pegboard, there are things that I can grab easily. I can just reach out and grab the clamps. Same with the saws. Welder helmet is really easy to access. Paper towels too, you can just burp and take all the paper towels you want. There's also a few tools up here that I rarely use. That is because they are my grandfather's. He was an upholsterer and has all these cool tools, and I inherited some of these. This is like a spring tensioner or a spring puller or something. Just seeing all these tools up here is really cool, and I, love being a part of that family history. Moving to the left here, we have a chalkboard where you can put all of your inspirational ideas and, draw silly things like hammering a nail in case you didn't know how to do that. But this stuff is pretty cool. It's a roll-on product. It's not like a paint product. Unfortunately, we're in San Antonio and this garage is unair conditioned, so it started to peel a little bit. You can see at the top. So if I had a do-over, I'd probably do the chalk paint on this instead, but live and learn. From the chalkboard, I have a drill press and a bandsaw. These also came from my grandfather, and they're kind of tucked away in a corner just because of necessity. If this was a bigger shop, I would have a permanent location for them, but it is what it is. And they're on wheels, so I can always drag them out and work from there. So to the left again, there is a unfinished product that's been unfinished for way too long, and a whole lot of storage. So check this out. So these things are stacked, 7 high? And these bins, I think I just got them from Home Depot. They're so great, and they can stack really high without tipping over. They also hold a lot of stuff. Moving on, this is the not pretty part of the garage, but we have, your lawnmower, your rakes and shovels. We have this clever little system of hooks. So yeah, that hook system really helps the efficiency of your garage. I definitely recommend it. Before we had this system, we had them just all these tools stacked up in a corner like you probably do, and they were taking up so much space and flopping all over the place. And when you had to get to one, it was a complete pain in the butt. So this really helped things out. Definitely recommend. Moving on to the left a little bit, this is what I like to call my finishing bench, although it tends to be kind of just a let's throw this garbage on this bench kind of bench. So that's unfortunate, but we're working on it. We have a lot of, on this little shelf here, we have a lot of screws and nails and sandpaper. Behind the camera there is finishes and stains and your polyurethane, stuff like that. From the finishing bench we have our Tower of Power tools, that is. We have so many power tools that we didn't really know what to do with them before we created this really nasty bookshelf for power tools, but it works. So we have everything we need. So routers, sanders, jigsaws, battery plugins, chargers, I guess those are called, sanders, Dremel tool, jacks, lights, just literally everything. We also have a variety of torches and a 1,200-pound cable puller, all the standard stuff that you'd have as a 20-something-year-old. Moving on. Well, unfortunately, one of our neighbors has started to rock out to some 70s jams, and I don't want to buy the licenses for that. So we're going to transition to voiceover. I'm obviously not bitter at all. Well, the whole purpose of this shot was to make a file cabinet joke, so there you go, my collection of files. In order to retain what's left of my sanity, I always need to keep my toolboxes organized. An unorganized toolbox is basic anarchy, and we can't have that. Well, that's the tour. Time to show y'all a brilliant space-saving hack. But first, here is our shop cat. Just kidding, he is the sweetest stray that you'll ever meet, and we're looking for a permanent home for him. So if you live in San Antonio and need the best cat ever, sorry Myrtle and Mo, let us know. His name is Mr. Okay, I'm not gonna claim that this space-saving hack is pure genius, but I think it's pretty cool and saves me a bunch of bench space. Basically, as you can see, I've drilled some holes into some plywood that correspond to holes on my bench. I made a few of these plywood thingamajigs, then I bolted a couple tools to the plywood. That way I can interchange my tools and keep my bench space free. Tools like a grinder or a vise that have lots of rotational or shear forces applied to them need to be bolted down, but I didn't want anything getting in the way of my miter saw. Plus, I wanted to bolt them all down, but I didn't have room. Thus, this thingamajig was born. It's great, and if you're in a small shop like this, definitely take advantage of this hack. Okay, check this out. This is the third tool that I can bolt down, but I bet you can't guess what it is. I remember playing with this thing for hours in my grandfather's upholstery shop. It's a button maker for all those like fabric buttons on old chairs and stuff. What other tools do you think that I should bolt down to this little setup I have? Let me know in the comments. So if you're saying to yourself, wow, this guy has a lot of useless junk, and I just have a set of screwdrivers and live in a tiny apartment, but I really want to have a complete shop one day, then listen up. There are so many projects that you can do with a limited budget and a tiny space. That's what I did before we moved here. All you need to have to do 83% of DIY projects you can get for super cheap on Facebook Marketplace or garage sales. Of course, it depends on what you want to do, like what projects you're working on,
but usually you can really make do with a combo of any of these tools. First off, a circular saw is a no-brainer. You can makeshift this into a table saw, use it as a miter saw. It's very versatile. Then, of course, everyone needs a drill. Just go buy a drill if you don't have one already. And I love this little guy. It's a orbital sander that helps to make surfaces nice and smooth with minimal effort. When you're buying, look for a hole pattern that you can get replacement pads for easily. Clamps. Harbor Freight is a great resource for these if you're just starting out, and I love these ones with a little release lever. A hammer, y'all know this. A jigsaw also helps to get curved cuts like a bandsaw would, but without owning a full-on bandsaw. Another tool that really comes in handy in a lot of situations. And then of course you're going to need some stains and finishes. I prefer polyurethane on most pieces, but experiment for yourself and see what you like. That should get you started. Now go make something. Alright, so if your shop is cramped and crowded like ours is, there's a ton of awesome things that you can do, little hacks, organizational tricks that you can get to get your shop running smoothly and efficiently. I think we've done a lot of stuff here to make it work really well in the tight space that we have. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of creativity. And if your shop space is really small or doesn't exist and you don't want to put that much money into it, you really don't have to do too much or buy too many tools to get you started. And with just a few tools, you can do a lot of the projects that you want to do. So if you thought this video was helpful, like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think of this little space that we have here, and let me know if you think of any ways that we could possibly improve it or keep it more organized, or any other space-saving hacks that you might have. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.